The ancient fortresses, abandoned houses, and old cemeteries, every haunted place has that unmistakable feeling. The kind that makes the air feel heavier, the silence too loud, and the shadows just a little too dark. These aren't gimmicky horror attractions. These are places where the stories run deep, where people swear they've heard whispers in empty rooms. Some locations have histories so grim that even standing near them feels wrong. Others? Let's just say the people who've stayed overnight don't always make it till morning. Here are 15 places where the eerie isn't just a vibe, it's something you can't shake, no matter how hard you try. Number 15. Fern Hill Hotel, India. Most haunted places earn their reputation over decades, but Fern Hill Hotel became infamous overnight. During the filming of the Bollywood horror movie Raz, choreographer Saroj Khan and her crew were jolted awake by the sound of heavy furniture being dragged across the floor above them. Annoyed, they called reception, only to find the phone line dead. The next morning, they complained, only to be met with a chilling revelation. The hotel had no upper floor. That was just one of many eerie occurrences reported before the hotel finally shut down. Staff and guests spoke of whispers in empty hallways, flickering lights, and sudden bone-chilling drafts. Some even claimed to hear phantom footsteps pacing above them in the dead of night. Though the building remains closed, its haunted reputation lingers, drawing ghost hunters and thrill seekers eager to uncover the truth behind one of India's creepiest supernatural mysteries. Number 14. Monte Cristo Homestead, Australia. If walls could talk, Monte Cristo Homestead would scream. Located in New South Wales, this Victorian mansion has a dark history, and it all starts with Mrs. Crawley, its reclusive owner. After her husband's death, she reportedly locked herself inside for 23 years, rarely stepping outside. When she finally died, people claimed her presence never left. Visitors report seeing her ghost staring from windows, hearing disembodied whispers, and feeling an oppressive force in her former bedroom. But she isn't the only lingering spirit. Stories of tragic deaths haunt the property, from a stable boy burned alive to a maid who mysteriously fell from a balcony. The creepiest sighting? A floating, bodiless apparition drifting through the corridors at night. Paranormal investigators have recorded strange phenomena, and those who've spent the night describe an overwhelming feeling of dread. If you ever visit, just know you won't be alone. Number 13. Arrowdale Lunatic Asylum, Australia. Few places are as unsettling as an abandoned mental asylum, and Arrowdale in Victoria takes it to another level. Opened in 1867, it housed thousands of patients, many of whom never left. The facility was notorious for brutal treatments, including electroshock therapy and lobotomies, leading to countless unrecorded deaths. Today, the asylum is a hotspot for paranormal activity, with ghostly figures lurking in doorways and the unsettling presence of former staff and patients. The most famous spirit? Nurse Carrie, who is said to still patrol the women's wing, often appears as a shadowy figure or an unexplained cold touch. Then there's old Margaret, a former patient forced to leave when the asylum closed in the 1990s. Many believe she never actually left. Visitors report hearing cries, footsteps in empty halls, and sudden paralyzing fear. Tours are still available if you're brave enough to step inside. Number 12. Highgate Cemetery, England. Cemeteries are always a little eerie, but Highgate takes things to another level. Established in 1839, this Gothic burial ground holds over 170,000 graves, and some residents refuse to rest. The most infamous? The Highgate Vampire. Described as a 7-foot-tall figure with hypnotic red eyes and a flowing black coat, this phantom is said to stalk the cemetery, freezing time and plunging the air into unnatural cold. In the 1970s, a string of animal carcasses, drained of blood, sparked widespread hysteria, with locals claiming a vampire was loose. Then came the real horror. A woman's charred, decapitated body was discovered in the graveyard, further fueling the legend. Paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and even vampire hunters have explored Highgate, reporting shadowy figures, eerie whispers, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Whether it's a vampire or something worse, one thing's certain: Highgate Cemetery isn't just a resting place. Number 11. Mary King's Close, Scotland. Beneath Edinburgh's streets lies Mary King's Close, a maze of underground alleys frozen in time. Once a bustling neighborhood, the close was sealed off during the 1645 plague, trapping many infected residents inside. Centuries later, it remains eerily preserved and disturbingly haunted. Visitors report hearing coughing, footsteps, and distant voices echoing through the empty corridors. The most famous spirit? Annie, a young girl said to have been abandoned during the plague. Paranormal investigators claim she still lingers, crying for her lost doll. Many visitors bring toys, which are left in her old room as offerings. Other sightings include a woman in black lurking in the shadows and an elderly figure vanishing into thin air. The underground passageways are now part of city tours, but guides warn that some areas feel wrong. Step inside, and you might just feel an icy hand brush against you, whether you believe in ghosts or not. Number 10. Akershus Castle, Norway. Akershus Castle isn't just one of Norway's most famous fortresses, it's also one of its most haunted. Built in the late 13th century, this medieval stronghold has witnessed centuries of war, imprisonments, and executions. It later became a Nazi-occupied prison during World War II, adding yet another layer of darkness to its already grim history. Many visitors report seeing the apparition of a robed woman wandering the halls, her identity unknown, but her presence unmistakably eerie. Even more terrifying is the legend of the Malcanison, a ghostly black dog that is said to guard the castle. According to local lore, anyone who lays eyes on the spectral beast is doomed to die soon after. Chilling whispers, shadowy figures, and the sensation of being watched make Akershus a paranormal hotspot. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, stepping into this fortress feels like stepping into something beyond the realm of the living. Number 9. Screaming Tunnel, Canada. If you love the thrill in life, must visit this place. Beneath the railway tracks connecting Toronto to New York lies Ontario's infamous Screaming Tunnel, a passage as eerie as its name suggests. The legend dates back over a century to a tragic fire that consumed a farmhouse near the tunnel's southern entrance. A young girl engulfed in flames ran towards the tunnel in a desperate attempt to escape. She never made it out. Ever since, those who dare to light a match inside the tunnel report hearing her agonized screams echoing through the darkness. Some even claim that any fire lit within the tunnel is mysteriously extinguished by an unseen force. The damp, crumbling walls and eerie silence add to the unnerving atmosphere, making it one of Canada's most notorious ghostly landmarks. Paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and curious visitors continue to test the legend, but not everyone leaves convinced that they were alone. Number 8. Rose Hall, Jamaica. Just don't be pranked by its name. Perched on the hills of Montego Bay, Rose Hall is as beautiful as it is terrifying. This former plantation house is infamous for its most notorious resident, Annie Palmer, also known as the White Witch of Rose Hall. According to legend, Annie practiced voodoo and was responsible for the deaths of multiple husbands and countless slaves. Her reign of terror supposedly ended when one of her enslaved lovers turned against her, but her presence is said to linger. Visitors report hearing phantom footsteps, chilling whispers, and seeing shadowy figures roaming the grand halls. The most famous sighting? A woman in a flowing white dress appeared on the balcony before vanishing into thin air. Some say the bloodstains of her victims still appear and disappear on the floorboards. Whether the stories are exaggerated or not, one thing is certain. Rose Hall carries an energy that's hard to ignore. Number 7. Tat Tak School, Hong Kong. Abandoned schools tend to have a naturally eerie atmosphere, but Tat Tak School in Hong Kong is on another level. Built on land where Japanese forces allegedly carried out massacres during World War II, this school's history is already steeped in death. But it's what happened after that truly cements its place among the world's most haunted sites. Locals claim that a female teacher took her own life on the grounds, and her tormented spirit still roams the halls. Cab drivers refuse to pass by after dark, fearing sudden malfunctions or even ghostly apparitions appearing in their rearview mirrors. Visitors describe an overwhelming sense of dread, unexplained cold spots, and eerie whispers in the empty corridors. Some have even claimed to see shadowy figures watching from the broken windows. The school has been abandoned for years, but the stories haven't faded. If anything, they're only growing stronger. Number 6. Ganjiam Psychiatric Hospital, South Korea. Ganjiam Psychiatric Hospital has been called one of the most terrifying places in South Korea, and for good reason. Shrouded in urban legend, this abandoned mental institution has a history that sounds straight out of a horror movie. According to local rumors, patients began mysteriously dying, their causes of death never fully explained. Some say a deranged doctor subjected them to inhumane experiments, while others believe the building itself harbored a dark energy that drove people to insanity. Whatever the truth may be, visitors report seeing shadowy figures in doorways, hearing disembodied voices, and experiencing sudden, overwhelming feelings of unease. The building, now sealed off with warning signs, remains a forbidden zone for most. But that hasn't stopped ghost hunters and thrill seekers from attempting to uncover its secrets. Would you like to visit this place? Well, let us know. Now, let's move to Number 5. Larnac Castle, New Zealand. Owning a castle sounds like a dream until it turns into a personal horror story. William Larnac built this grand estate between 1871 and 1887, intending it to be a symbol of wealth and power. Instead, it became a monument to tragedy. His daughter, Kate, died of typhoid at just 26, and her spirit is said to haunt the massive ballroom built in her honor. William himself met a grim fate, dying by suicide after financial ruin and devastating personal betrayals. Visitors report eerie whispers, icy chills, and an unseen presence tapping them on the shoulder. Paranormal teams have investigated, with Ghost Hunters International capturing strange phenomena. If that's not enough, brave guests can book a night at Larnac Lodge, though many leave with stories of restless spirits. Whether it's Kate still dancing in the ballroom or William's regrets echoing through the halls, this castle's past refuses to stay buried. Number 4. La Recoleta Cemetery, Buenos Aires. A cemetery might not scream tourist destination, but La Recoleta isn't just any burial ground. This maze of elaborate tombs and Gothic statues looks like a city of the dead, and some say its residents never really left. While most visitors come to see Eva Perón's resting place, the most famous ghost is David Aleno, a former caretaker. He worked here for 30 years, meticulously saving up for his own tomb. The day it was completed, he took his own life, ensuring he'd never leave the cemetery. Now, visitors and workers swear they hear his keys jingling as he makes his rounds. Others report feeling watched or seeing shadowy figures slip between mausoleums. It's a place where history and the paranormal collide, making it one of the most unsettling spots in Argentina. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, one thing's for sure: Recoleta never truly feels empty. Number 3. Himeji Castle, Japan. Himeji Castle is breathtaking. White walls, intricate architecture, a rich history stretching back to 1333. But look past the postcard-perfect exterior, and you'll find one of Japan's most famous ghost stories. The castle's tragic resident? Okiku, a servant falsely accused of losing a priceless set of plates. The punishment? She was thrown down a well, where her spirit remains. Her presence isn't subtle. Legend says she rises at night, counting plates in a mournful whisper. When she reaches 9, she lets out a scream so chilling it's said to drive people mad. Visitors swear they've heard the counting, seen misty figures near the well, and felt sudden, inexplicable dread. The well still sits on the castle grounds, a silent reminder of a centuries-old injustice. Himeji is a must-visit for history buffs, but if you hear someone counting late at night, don't wait around for her to reach 10. Number 2. Forsyth Park, Savannah. Savannah doesn't do subtle when it comes to hauntings, and Forsyth Park is proof. With its moss-covered trees and historic charm, it looks like the perfect place for a relaxing stroll, until you learn what's beneath your feet. Hidden tunnels run under the park, once used by Candler Hospital for, let's just say, post-autopsy transportation. That's right. Bodies were secretly moved beneath these very grounds. Today, those tunnels are sealed, but the energy lingers. Visitors report feeling watched, hearing faint whispers, and seeing shadowy figures that vanish when approached. Some even claim to feel unseen hands brushing against them. And if that's not creepy enough, the park's fountain is rumored to be a hotspot for supernatural activity. Forsyth Park is stunning, no doubt, but once the sun goes down, it's less about beauty and more about the eerie feeling that something, or someone, is still lurking. Number 1. Port Arthur, Tasmania. If prisons could hold on to the past, Port Arthur would be a textbook case. Established in the 1830s as a penal settlement, this place was designed to break the human spirit. Harsh punishments, solitary confinement, and relentless cruelty turned it into a psychological torture chamber. Some prisoners never left, literally. The site is infamous for ghost sightings, from faceless apparitions in the old prison cells to eerie voices drifting through empty corridors. The most haunted spot? The Isle of the Dead, a mass grave for prisoners who died under brutal conditions. Those who visit report an overwhelming sense of unease, sudden cold spots, and even disembodied screams. Ghost tours run regularly, but many guests leave early, especially those who feel an unseen presence following them. If you ever visit, just remember, the past isn't always content to stay in history books. At Port Arthur, some stories refuse to end. If you've enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.